Fantastic. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the December 13th, 2023 meeting of the City of San Ramon Parks and Community Services Commission. Thank you for all those in attendance. Do we have anybody in the Netherlands attending? No. Okay. So we'll start off with a call to order and a pledge of allegiance. And Jessica, would you lead us in the prayer?
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Excellent. Thank you so much. Roll call.
Chair Dorlich,
Present.
Chair Mitra. I'm sorry, Vice Chair Mitra,
Present.
Commissioner Levy,
Present.
Commissioner Lopez Lucy, absent. Commissioner Owens,
Here.
Commissioner Breed, Commissioner Osland.
Present.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
All right, number 4, special items and announcements, 4.1. Recognition of the Teen Council Outstanding Teen Citizen for 2023. Shelby Yale.
Good evening, all. Thank you, Chair Dorlich, and to all the commissioners for having us tonight. This evening, we wanted to take a moment to recognize our Outstanding Teen Citizenship Award winner for 2023. I will let our chair do all the formal introducing of that, but a little history. This award started in 2011, and it is to recognize those contributions from our teen citizens. And so every year an application is put out, a call is put out for applications. People submit, and then we have an ad hoc committee on our teen council that reviews those and takes the time to consider each applicant and then award just based on what's in the application. We've been doing it since 2011, and it is now also picked up and celebrated at the WOW Awards dinner with the San Ramon Chamber of Commerce. And so we're happy to just have that opportunity for our teens to be recognized, not only here, but on a broad basis within the chamber as well. And I'm going to hand it over to Chair Tadapali to do formal.
Good evening, everyone. It's my honor to present this year's award winner, Shelby Ye. Shelby is a senior at Doherty Valley High School who has a passion for connecting with community members and creating STEM programs in the Bay Area. As the outreach director of the STEMpathize program, she aims to help students gain exposure to various topics such as computer science, chemistry, and biology. During her time with the organization, she has led teams with students from Doherty Valley High School, California High School, and Monta Vista High School. Through her leadership, Shelby has allowed students from San Ramon to connect over their passion of STEM and their wish to also give back to the community. Despite the difficulties in building connections through a virtual setting, Shelby consistently tries to make the online environment as engaging as possible through weekly team discussions, team building activities, and one-on-one meetings with each volunteer. STEMpathize began as an online group, and since her time with this program, she has also launched an internship program, extended outreach for workshops internationally, and has began the first set of STEMpathize in-person workshops. Overall, Shelby has dedicated numerous hours to help educate the residents of San Ramon through the STEMpathize program and has made a positive impact on our community and is deserving of the Outstanding Teen Citizenship Award. Congratulations, Shelby.
Hi, everyone. I just want to start off by giving a huge thank you to everybody here and for giving me the opportunity to be recognized here tonight. I think as I, transition to college, I kind of am a little bit more aware of how much the city has really done for me. And I think that kind of, to me, redefines my definition of giving back to the community and of contributing. I think I really understand now how great the resources are in San Ramon, and it's really, really important to me that I make sure other students in San Ramon also get those resources and have an education that's really rich and really successful. And I think as I'm growing a little bit older, I'm a little bit more aware of the fact that our resources might not be the same in a lot of other different communities. And I think to me, this award is kind of the next step to branching out, talking to new people, meeting new communities, and making sure that they also have really, really great resources. And again, I just want to say I'm really so honored to be recognized here tonight, and thank you so much for your time.
If we could talk.
I'll just say thank you, Shelby, for doing your community work and the nice speech over here. Really, really motivating. And we have our kids in the community, and you are the role model for them. So thank you.
Thank you so
for your
much.
service.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Real quick. we
Yes.
Also want to thank Chair Norbeck, sponsors.
Whoa,
Well,
cool.
having the back.
Awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. 4.2, temporary employee of the month from November. You got this, Becky?
I hope so. It's been a few years since I've had the pleasure of presenting the Employee of the Month. So thank you, Chair Dorlick, Vice Chair Mitra, fellow commissioners. It's my pleasure to be here tonight to recognize Ismail Beg as the November Employee of the Month. And so Ismail began working with the Parks and Community Services Department in May of this year, 2023. And during his short tenure here, he has made a huge impact on our department. He started working at our Little Dribblers basketball classes for ages 3 to 8. And while he was a bit shy at first, he quickly came out of his shell. And he has, over the last few months, he has really turned into a very stellar recreation leader. And his work responsibilities over this time has grown to include not just Little Dribblers, but also our gym monitoring, our summer camps, and our K-2, our kindergarten to 2 youth basketball league. And so tonight specifically, Ismail is being recognized for that outstanding work that he has done at our K-2 basketball league over the last 2 months or so. And so when we started the basketball league and Ismail started working that program, he had never refereed basketball before. And if you've never refereed basketball before, it's tough. It's really, really tough because it happens so fast. And he was a little nervous, but he approached that challenge head on, and he has absolutely thrived there. He has taken the challenge. He has grown game after game, and he always approaches each situation as a learning experience. And now that our league is coming to an end this Saturday, he has really become that key staff member at our kindergarten to 2 youth basketball league. And so he has led practices when coaches weren't available to do that. He has coached teams when coaches weren't available to be at the game. And not only does he make really good, accurate calls as a referee, but more importantly for our recreational basketball program, he stops the children and teaches them what they did incorrectly so that they too can learn from their experiences just as he is, which each of his experiences at our basketball league. And so he receives praises consistently from our parents, our staff, and our coaches for his great attitude and his outstanding performance. And so congratulations, Ismail, on a job well done, and we look forward to your continued growth and success in the Parks and Community Services Department.
Get our appreciation and a cup which is big enough to catch all those dribblers up. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for your participation and your great initiatives in the program. Thank you. Yeah, do you want to say anything?
Please.
I just want to start off by saying I really appreciate the recognition from everyone. So far, reffing has been one of my passions, and working here has been a really great experience for me. So far, as Becky said, I've been like a little scared at the beginning, but coming out of my shell later on. I truly appreciate the recognition and I'm honored. Thank you so much.
Get together and take a photo.
You want to take a picture?
Yeah, yeah. Good. All right,
Thanks,
fantastic.
Scott.
Thank you again. Oh, right up here. I think we have, 4.2, special announcements and things going on with parks.
Of course, I've always got some special announcements for you. So of most importance, I want to make sure you all know that the Santa mailbox in the Rotunda is still active. So any kids you know with last minute wishes and need to get their letters in the box by December 18th, so Santa has time to respond.
And let me just make a note, there is no age limit on kids.
There is not an age limit. So anything you all want for the holidays, put your letter in now.
Absolutely.
I also wanted to let you know, because we had lots of feedback from the community, as soon as our pickleball courts opened, that we need more benches, and we had always had them planned, but the outside benches have now been added. So I was just by there this afternoon at about 5 o'clock, and all 4 pickleball courts were going great gangbusters and only 1 tennis court. So I think overall, we're seeing the usage of pickleball. People are very, very happy with our 4 courts. Another big and exciting announcement, tickets are on sale for Lyle Lovett and his acoustic group. Yeah. Oh, was it Friday? Sorry. I think it's the season ticket holders are still get a chance in. Anyway, the show's on March 17th, but I would get your tickets early if this interests you, because I do anticipate this one selling out more quickly. So think about it. We may, as a note on your calendars, we are still trying to get the sports park lighting meeting scheduled for Sunrise Ridge. So I know I keep moving that one and moving that one. I will email you and we will call you if we're able to put that together before the January meeting. Because we're trying to set that up at a 5:30. So you'll get both of those notifications. So it's still a maybe. As soon as we get it finalized, you'll know. We will be having a facilities committee meeting on Thursday, February 21st. I think all of you know that. Chair Commission member Osland, Levy, and Owens. I think you're my facilities committee. Memory serves correct. So make sure you've got that on your calendars. And then lastly, in regards to these dates, thinking out a little bit, I have an important question for you all. The February meeting actually falls on Valentine's Day, February 14th. And so I don't know if that presents a problem or a concern for you. It's easy enough for us to shift that meeting to another week, if that is. So it's a good time for us to think about that. So you can ponder that question and we can send a quick email out and figure out if there's an issue and we would like to shift it, unless everybody has an opinion right now.
Sure, yeah, to be safe.
Okay.
There we go. All
I
right.
think the date we were thinking was the 4th.
Yeah, we'll double check and make sure that we can do that, but I'll send that all out to you.
Okay.
We're
No.
It would just be
No, we go down.
Down one.
Yeah, because the first, second, and third week are usually.
We just need to decide earlier, so my travel, I can move my travel.
So all of them are options, I believe, but like we usually have you reserve the 2nd and the 4th Wednesdays. So we could shift to the 4th Wednesday if that meets with everybody's approval, or we could make it any of the other ones for that matter,
You
probably.
said 4th, I mean, it's 14, so either 7th or 21st, right?
No,
Be the 14th or the 28th.
8th.
28,
20, yeah.
28.
It could also be the 7th or well, probably not the 7th, but it could be the 21st if you would
That's
prefer
what I
that.
was thinking, yeah.
Plus, that's an arts advisory committee meeting date.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
why we usually try and stay off of
Yeah.
them.
So is there a consensus?
28,
28th? Sure. Good.
yeah.
All right, cool.
Be okay.
Commissioner Bree, did you have a concern?
I'm just checking to make sure I am in town. I'm supposed to be in Boston, so. I'll make it work. I'll move it. It works for me.
Okay,
All right, then we're looking at the 28th.
we could go on a beat day. leap year day.
I know, there's 29th of it.
Exactly. Okay,
All right, and then lastly, on our upcoming events, we've been winding through the holidays. I know you've all been at all of the various assorted bah humbug, tree lighting, holiday on the farm. You name it, we are holiday central, but there's still 2 more to go. And that would be the holiday concert by the San Ramon Community Chorus on December 17th and the holiday concert by the San Ramon Symphonic Band on December 22nd. It's an awesome one. If you've never seen the Symphonic Band's holiday concert, that music just it swells and is huge and beautiful when you have that, 50-member band playing in the Doherty Valley Performing Arts Center. So definitely something to consider. And that's it for my announcements.
all right. Number 5, public comment or written communication. At this time, members of the public are encouraged to address the Park and Community Services Commission on any item not already included in tonight's agenda. Comments should not exceed 3 minutes. Do we have any public comment? Okay. Gee, I enjoy reading this so much. All right. Number 6, approval of minutes. 6.1, Parks and Community Service Commission regular meeting, November 8th, 2023. Were there any perceived changes to the minutes? Any corrections, errors, omissions, etc.?
Small edit,
Small edit.
on page 7 of the packet. Item 8.2. The mover was missing in the box.
That's true.
Ah. Did we have a mover? Because oh yeah.
Oh, it is, huh?
Yeah.
We're gonna have to go back and figure out who was the mover that.
It was me.
Oh.
Above it. Oh, is that why you noticed it?
Seems a little self-serving.
No, she's like,
Okay,
I
fair
go
enough.
through and I check them. And I was like,
So,
what? Wait a minute, did someone move that?
If we make that modification in addition to the minutes, are there any other modifications, changes, omissions, personal items of concern? All right, do I have a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
I move that we approve the minutes as amended.
Second.
Okay, and that means you're the mover.
Well, what am I?
You're the mover. All right,
I'll second that.
and Mr. Chair, Vice Chair.
Vice Chair,
Sorry,
Vice Chair.
Yeah, yeah. Has seconded. All right, we need to vote, huh? No, wait, I got that. All right, it is accepted. 6 and 1 absentee. All right, fantastic. So the consent calendar. Consent calendar items are considered routine and are acted upon by the Parks and Community Services with a single action. Members of the audience wishing to provide public input may request that the commission remove the item from the consent calendar. Do we have any people looking to remove any items from the consent calendar? Do we have a consent calendar? No, we do not. So it'll be difficult to move what we do not have. All right, let's move on to commission business. 8.1, Discover San Ramon update.
Perfect. Well, I have a quick introduction for you. And so we're excited to be here this evening because Dennis Garrison is here to give us an update on what's going on with Discover San Ramon. This came up as Chair Dorlick mentioned that he would love to get an update on what's going on with Discover San Ramon. And they gave a really wonderful presentation to the city council. I want to say it was back in July, maybe. And I too thought that you would all be interested. We were able to queue up the video, their Unwind in San Ramon video that's on their website. Brad can just click the button and it'll screen. And then we'll let Dennis go ahead and take over. It's to the left, the little.
Scheduled, overstressed, a bit overworked, then maybe it's time to unwind. There's a place conveniently located for an easy escape from all your overs. where you can hike, you can shop, you can dine, or just sit by the pool and don't do anything at all. Unplug, undo, unwind in San Ramon.
Bravo.
Very good.
So let me hand it over to Dennis to tell you what Discover San Ramon's been up to.
How many of you know what Discover San Ramon is? You all do. How is it funded? Aha. And how do you get your hands on some of that money? Those are the typical questions I have to answer. Actually, Discover San Ramon is probably best known as a kind of convention and visitors bureau for San Ramon. Its purpose is to generate room nights at the hotels in the city of San Ramon, which generates taxes, which go to the city of San Ramon. It is funded solely by the hotels at the direction of the city, $2 for every room night. Goes into the proceeds of Discover San Ramon. The city puts no other money into it. The organization is self-guided by volunteers. Presently, the volunteers, quote volunteers, are the general managers of the San Ramon Marriott Hotel, the Marriott Residence Inn, the Sonesta Hotel, which used to be the Courtyard over by what used to be Marie Callender's. I'm dating myself quite a bit here on this. And the Hyatt House, which is up on San Ramon Valley Boulevard north of Crow Canyon. There are two other hotels in San Ramon. Those are the extended stay properties, which actually do quite a bit of business, but are not actively participating in this. They do contribute, but they haven't really asked to be involved. Now, my role in that is the adult supervision. I'm not a hotel person. I don't get involved in the thoughts of what goes in. How do they want to market those hotels? That's up to the hotels. It's their money. My role is, as I try to tell them, I try to keep them between the white lines. And that is, you have to comply with the Brown Act. You have money that you receive. You have to account for it properly. You have to spend it properly. How they do that is up to them. The problem is, not problem, but the ongoing situation is that these hotel people change regularly. We are on our fourth general manager of the San Ramon Marriott in the last 2 years. Half of the hotels in San Ramon changed ownership during COVID. So we have new owners, new general managers, new ideas about the best way to market the hotels by the new hotel people, and the circumstances change all the time. Many years ago, the idea was to get corporate business. That's where the most hotel room nights came from in San Ramon, and the big corporations who used to fill all the parking lots of the buildings in Bishop Ranch. You remember driving by there and seeing 1,000 cars. Now you drive by and see 98 cars or less. So the industry has changed. The situation in San Ramon has changed. The idea is still to bring people to San Ramon to spend nights in hotels, generate that room sales tax, which goes to the city, which is a significant source for the city, and spend more money, spend other money in San Ramon. That has become easier with the opening of the city center. But there are just less people coming to San Ramon now because more people work at home. Less businesses are still in San Ramon, less employees in San Ramon. So the program of Discover San Ramon changes and has been forced to change because of COVID, different marketing. Probably when we started this, and all of you who flew in airlines remember getting on Southwest and opening the Southwest magazine and looking at the ads for all the hotels. There are no magazines on airplanes anymore. So that has forced or given the opportunity for all the marketing to go to the internet. So the ads and things that you see that are developed go out over the internet, and we become governed by the law of large numbers. Partha is probably more familiar with this concept than I am, but millions of people get exposed to those ads on the internet, and then you try to clicks and follow-ups and follow-throughs and all that thing generates a certain number of people who are interested in hotels in San Ramon, and some of them come. It's much more difficult to follow. I mean, they are large numbers. I think last year when we reported the city, there was something like 4 million people clicked on the Discover San Ramon ads. 4 million people didn't come to San Ramon for room nights. We know that. So it becomes a very small number once it gets down to the people that actually stay. With every new group of hotel general managers that come in, we get different ideas on how to market the hotels. And the business environment, the economic environment changes what's profitable for hotels to get. Now you may say, well, why don't you support dog shows and all these things that would bring people to San Ramon? The goal is to bring profitable business to the hotels. Any of you ever been involved in the hotel business knows that dog shows and a lot of these things don't bring profitable business to the hotels. So hotels have to be selective about what kind of business they seek and what kind they can afford to attract. The other thing is that the type of business in San Ramon has changed dramatically. We have gone from a corporate market, entirely corporate market, pre-COVID. During COVID, our focus shifted to try to get people who wanted to get out of the house to come to a hotel, be outside. That's why the focus of most of the ads is these are the great things to do outside, outdoors in San Ramon. Weddings became a big thing. Weekend business became the dominant source of room nights in San Ramon, not the traditional Sunday through Thursday business. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday were the big drivers of room nights. That's starting to shift again, and then the hotels have to shift their marketing approach. I will say that the new group of hotel general managers have started to see a need to market more directly in the community. That is kind of a new shift because there's new kinds of businesses they need to go after. Weekend businesses, things that I'm not familiar with, but some of you may be, gaming things where 400 people come to the hotels in town and they play video games for the weekend. That's a bit above my head, but apparently it's fairly good business.
Yep.
The other thing that has become bigger is weddings. The demographic shift in San Ramon has brought in a lot more weddings, and weddings that last more than 1 or 2 days and involve large numbers of people, 200 to 400 people. So that is sort of the shift this time. So the question might be, from your point of view, how does the Parks and Rec interface with Discover San Ramon? By putting on events which would bring people to San Ramon, profitable people to San Ramon, not dog shows. And by the way, beauty pageants are losers. So if anybody has an idea, we want to have a beauty pageant in San Ramon, those people never pay their bills. They're not profitable business. I was briefly in the hotel industry in Pleasanton in the mid-'80s and learned the hard way that you don't want beauty pageants. They look nice for a night, but then they never pay their bills. So the hotels have been very good. With the change in ownership, as in any industry, the new owners really are focused on profits. How do we cut costs? How do we acquire new business? How do we do this profitably? That in part leads to change in personnel at the hotels. And so that's kind of what we have now. We have money to spend. The new people are trying to put together their program. I will say that we have tried to get more involved with the San Ramon Chamber. We have traditionally sponsored events through the San Ramon Chamber out of the desire to be good corporate citizens. But more and more, I think the chamber is becoming more active, and our hotel people see the need to support that. If you have ideas about having events that need sponsors, I would say present them to the chamber because they help us. And this current group of hotel general managers is more likely to support those events than the ones we had in the past. I would like to answer any questions you have. It's the most important thing is to understand this is a self-funded quasi-governmental organization. We report to the city council once a year, but we're not really responsible for them to ask them, how do you want to spend this money? The way it's set up, it's hotel money. It's generated by the hotels and it's their money to spend as they see fit. And again, it's my role to keep them between the white lines. Most important thing is the Brown Act, as you all know. Getting new hotel people to understand, why can't we have a meeting this afternoon? Well, because you're a quasi-government organization, we have 72-hour notice requirements, and those are the rules. Everyone knows you don't want to make break the Brown Act because you're certainly going to get in the newspaper if you do that. No matter what other good things you do, if you break the Brown Act, you'll get some attention. So that's kind of where we're at. We're moving forward with newer people who are more likely to be involved in the community than the hotel people we had in the past.
Thank you. So do we have any clarifying questions from the commission? Yes. Commissioner Owens.
Don't know if it's a clarifying question, but you had mentioned businesses that are not successful, such as dog shows and whatnot.
Not
You-
profitable. They may
not-
be successful, but they're not profitable.
Not
for the
profitable
hotel.
from our perspective. Yeah,
Yeah.
good clarification. And then you had mentioned things such as weddings that have become more popular. Are there businesses or events that you can cite that have been really successful from a profitability standpoint?
The gaming
Yeah, the
things?
gaming
Oh,
and,
it's,
well, you just said
remarkable.
gaming, weddings, anything else? That we can-
A few corporate things, but not many. Like, you know, corporations are just now starting to come back to big public meetings.
Mhm.
As you probably read in the paper, a lot of their employees don't want to leave their homes anymore, so you know, they're not meeting in groups of 200 like they used to. That business totally went away during COVID.
Right.
And is very slowly coming back.
Thanks.
Okay. Other questions? Yes.
Thank you, Dennis. Curious about what other communities have a similar model to this, where it's like the GMs of the hotels are running a Discover
This
X city.
San Ramon used to be a participant in the Tri-Valley Convention and Visitors Bureau. The city of San Ramon itself put the money in, and that went on for about 5 years, and the city council at that time was not satisfied with the results they were getting. Most of, you know, I don't think Danville even participated, but most of the business was in Pleasanton and Livermore. The wineries became very popular, but that didn't generate a whole lot of room nights to San Ramon. So probably 10 years ago, City Council of San Ramon said, we want to do this, but we want to be able to control how the money is spent. We want to spend locally and not regionally.
Mhm. And how often does this group meet?
Probably once a quarter on the average. There are public meetings. We often get people who come and express desires to get sponsorship, but not able to explain how that would generate more room nights for the hotel.
So the purpose of this group is to attract people to stay in the hotels.
Yes,
And it's the idea that events will bring people to stay at the hotels.
when this organization was founded 10 years ago, the idea was the business travelers came to the hotel.
Mhm.
The hotels wanted a way to get people to extend that by one night.
Mhm.
If you can get them to stay Sunday through Friday, that's better than Sunday through Thursday or Sunday through Wednesday.
Mhm.
And that was the goal for probably the first 5 years.
Mhm.
That has all changed with COVID. As I said, 2 years ago, during the worst parts of coming out of COVID, there was not much corporate business. The reference I have is when I drive through San Ramon, was used to driving through office buildings with thousands of cars in. Now the same office buildings, I say, have 100 cars there. So that has forced the hotels to change. The volume of hotel business in San Ramon is about 60% of what it was pre-COVID. This organization used to generate about 420,000 to 450,000 a year in the fees from the $2 a room night. It's now about 250 to 260,000 a year. There's just a lot less hotel business in general. So that, with hotel business going down, then the revenues go down, so that this organization has less money to spend. I will say that historically, we have been very conservative. A few of you may remember when this organization was formed, it was formed with no assets. We basically had to build the financial structure of the organization by collecting more in fees in the early years than we spent, so we could build an asset base. We found out that when you went to the kind of companies that build these kind of programs that we showed you earlier, they want to make sure they're going to get paid. We found out they looked at us like beauty pageants and dog shows in the beginning. If we spend all this time and effort to build a program for you, how do we know that we're going to get paid? And then they tell you the stories of the organizations they work for and didn't get paid. So we generated, over about a 4-year period, we generated a reserve of $500,000. Then we can go to those organizations and say, would you take our business? That kind of business went through changes in COVID too. Less hotels doing business, less organizations, the marketing companies combined. So it's been a period in the hospitality industry the last 3 to 4 years of severe change and, in essence, downsizing. You can read the news, San Francisco Business Times, of all the hotels that are being sent back to the banks. They have the same issues. The difference is it's much safer in San Ramon than it is in San Francisco. And we try to play on that. Part of what we try to do is get people, where do you want to stay on the weekends? It's safe, that you can go outside, that have great restaurants, and you can walk. And that has helped. It's always been a challenge to get people to come to the suburbs on the weekends. Certainly the city center helps.
That's all I have.
Okay. Any other questions?
Can I have just one?
Yeah.
You can have two.
Martha always asks good questions. We're on other boards together, so I know his questions are insightful.
Thank you, Dennis. Really appreciate coming here and presenting us, because I knew about Discover San Ramon, but I didn't know exactly how the incomes were coming in and how on that. So one clarifying question, if I understood it correctly, that the generating fund or hotel business used to be the corporate business, right? Monday to Thursday, you wanted to extend 1 day more, used to be pre-COVID. Now we are more focusing on events. Is that,
Yes.
Did I get it right? Because that business kind of gone or going away.
I would
or-
call that discretionary business. People decide to get married, they decide to have a wedding, it's not easy to find a site to have a good wedding. If young people, they say, I got engaged, when you get married, a year and a half. Why? Well, because we can't find a place to have the wedding. I will say that one of the things that we try to do is that if we pursue business, it has to benefit all the hotels. It can't be for the benefit of one hotel. Believe it or not, when people come to weddings at the San Ramon Marriott, some of them will stay at the Hyatt House, some of them will stay at the Sonesta because those rates are less. So we try to pursue business that benefits all the hotels.
And I would assume that when you go out and do an advertisements to get this kind of events coming into San Ramon, you're going out in the other cities or other communities, other demographic, not only focusing on San Ramon residents, right?
When it goes out on the internet, it's targeted
It's
to all
targeted.
these. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, we will probably be changing that because with the group business, you have to go after those groups more directly, which requires that you have to have a staff. I mean, so far, all the people that work for the board of Discover San Ramon are all volunteers. There's no administrative budget. We're working on coming up with a program. It's not easy just to add one employee and then start to have to deal with all the government regulations and filing requirements that go with it. So, and that's part of why we're working with the San Ramon Chamber. We have
Yep,
some
makes
common
sense.
goals.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I got some.
Oh, go ahead.
Thanks, Dennis. First of all, thank you so much for your presentation. I have a couple of questions. You
Sure.
talked a lot about transition. How are records kept? So as we're, let's say you had 4 people change from San Ramon Marriott in the past 2 years, how do you onboard them? And then also, how do we say, here's what we tried in the past, so we're not duplicating efforts again?
I meet with them when I can get their attention.
Yeah,
You can imagine when a new GM starts,
yeah,
like, thanks to some help from the chamber, I've been able to identify the new GM at the San Ramon Marriott, and he and I are going to meet on Monday for the first time. They come into a new assignment in a new city with a lot of things on their mind and a lot of priorities.
yep.
And it's up to us to reach out to them. We do have publicly held meetings. We do keep minutes. So you can, but a lot of that, it's just me sitting down with them and saying, this is the history of Discover San Ramon. This is what we've been through. And they all bring a unique skill set based on where they have been and what kind of hotels they've been with.
And then the second question I have is how do you engage corporations that, corporations have meeting planners? I work for a big corporation, travel a lot, but how do you engage those companies to tell them about San Ramon?
Mostly the hotels do that directly.
Okay.
They're all franchised hotels or corporate hotels.
Yep.
So they do that all through their corporate marketing.
Okay, thank you. Well, we're gonna make comments later, right?
Well, yeah, we're doing some
Okay, cool.
questions
Yep,
now, but
yep.
you can certainly make comments at any time. Okay.
So another question came to mind as Commissioner Breed was talking, and I'm thinking that, okay, so there's a professional organization that has a conference that they want to put on, and they're going to attract people from all over the place. They need to stay in a hotel and attend their classes or whatever the event is. And it's usually, 1 or 2 nights. Is this group seeking those kinds of opportunities out? Or is
Sure.
this something that the chamber would be more involved and inclined to lead that?
Typically not at this stage.
So this would be this group?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, let me say, these hotels all have marketing wings. They all have marketing directors. They all, if you want to do a 200 room night event on a weekend, you will contact Hyatt, you will contact Marriott, you'll contact Hilton, you end up with their marketing team.
Mhm.
They will say, okay, we can do that for you in San Ramon or wherever. And then they turn it over to the local hotel people. We're trying to get the attention of people to come to San Ramon because it's a great place to be for either a business meeting or for a weekend. That who those people are has changed dramatically thanks to COVID. And who the owners of the hotels changed dramatically thanks to COVID too.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got a couple of questions.
Okay, well.
Good to see you. What is the room capacity in San Ramon among the hotels?
About 1,068 or something like
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Okay. And is the turnover in the management, typical within the industry, or have there been some other factors in this particular area that,
COVID and venture capital.
so the purchase of the hotels and they
When-
bring in their own people?
When venture capital,
Familiar with that?
when they buy like Sonesta, I think it was Marriott Courtyard. They sold 200 of their hotels to this new venture capital company called Sonesta. They in turn hire a management company to manage. They don't manage them themselves. So you're dealing with a general manager, a management company, an owner company. Nowhere was that more difficult than the San Ramon Marriott. San Ramon Marriott was not actually owned by Marriott. It was not actually managed by Marriott. It was just simply a franchise. And that, having not lived through what it's like to be acquired by a venture capital company, but talking to many people that have,
Yeah.
it's a traumatic experience.
Oh, yeah, no, it certainly is. I've been through that at least once.
Okay.
Not twice. So is there a marketing budget that each of the entities has that they do their own target marketing as well as Discover San Ramon doing kind of general marketing?
Yes.
So there's two tiers there.
Mhm.
Okay, and one is more specific to a particular venue and facilities, and the other is more just, I mean, I spend my weekends in San Ramon, so I think it's a great place. So there's two levels and kind of two directions of the marketing.
Yeah, they all have their own marketing wings because they're all corporate owned or they're part of Marriott or Hyatt or whatever. Who the potential primary market has changed because of COVID. The primary market pre-COVID was the business traveler. And the mid-COVID market was anybody that might consider coming to San Ramon just to get away from someplace for a weekend.
Right.
Now it's the weekend or the corporate market for events, and the corporate traveler is coming back a little, but not a lot.
Right. So what is the relationship with those venues such as Bridges that does provide facilities for events, weddings, anniversaries, et cetera? Is there a connection there? Is there
Not really.
outreach to
No.
them to
Well,
kind of coordinate?
Coordinate with through the chamber, I guess, but keep in mind, the restaurants who benefit from people coming to town, the retail merchants who benefit from people coming to, they contribute nothing to Discover San Ramon.
Right.
The primary purpose is to get people to come to San Ramon and stay in those hotels, pay the room sales tax. Well, I didn't mess that up. And then the overflow business benefits hopefully all the businesses in San Ramon. But all those businesses in San Ramon do not contribute to Discover San Ramon. It's
No, I
only the
understand they
hotels.
Contribute, but I mean, so I'm thinking, well, let's just use the Marriott since it's the largest and has the best facilities for large events. Do they look at the Bridges Event Center as competition or a means to get more rooms filled?
I would say competition. Just a little.
Yeah. And I mean, for example, we do events,
Mhm.
right? In community services. We just announced the Lyle Lovett. So I mean, is there an effort to say, hey, we've got an event coming up on the 17th that might attract people. Let's market that. Or does the hotel just say, they decide to stay here, that's great, but we're not gonna, like put together a package for a weekend in San Ramon, come and see Lyle Lovett, hang out for a few days, go to the city center, watch a movie, have a kind of a package deal that says, for this amount of money, you get 2 tickets to there, you get 2 theater tickets, you get the 2 rooms, you get a dinner. Is
If,
there anything like that?
if
or
the
are they just
hotels are
looking for
approached, they will,
bodies and beds?
they'll do that. If you approach the hotels, but generally they approach the hotels one at a time.
Gotcha. Okay. So I know it was either last year or the year before, Shop San Ramon. There was Visit Tri-Valley had put together this shop incentive. And I know San Ramon participated in that. Was that outside of Discovery?
The city of San Ramon participated in
Okay,
that.
so it was the city itself that
Yeah.
participated.
Yeah.
What relationship does Discover San Ramon have with Visit Tri-Valley at all, if any?
None.
No. Okay. Because I know, I mean, Danville participates. Now I know the outlets are a key area that, attract attention. Is there an outreach from the hotels to the outlets at all or? to
No,
wineries
Not
or-
really. I mean, we have, part of the programs that were put on by the marketing company were, these are the things that you can do if you stay in San Ramon. And the outlets are an interesting case. When they were the Livermore premium outlets, they were dying
That's why they renamed them San
Yeah.
Francisco.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And the people that come from the, the Far East or other places, they're used to big metropolitan areas. When they get on the bus and land in Livermore, they don't know that they're not in San Francisco anymore.
Yeah, that was the key, was that nobody was coming to the Livermore outlets,
Yeah.
but if you said we're going to the San Francisco outlets and you board a bus and at the hotel in the city and you drive 45 minutes, you still think you're at the San Francisco outlets.
And in most of their cities, that would be a short trip somewhere else in the major city. Yeah, that has made a big difference
Okay.
just for that outlet.
So is there any, I mean, are the revenues have gone down considerably? We're what, about 50% down?
About 40% down, yeah.
Okay. I mean, is there any thought to reaching out and contributing even a minor, budgetary to, the region to try to draw people in? Because I mean, there are hotels being built in Livermore, the boutique hotel downtown.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna have one down here. I mean, there's hotels being built on the new area in Pleasanton, right, on Johnson. I mean, that whole project has 2 hotels going in with a number of, rooms and beds. So the competition is going to be heating up. So is there any consideration in reaching out and saying, let's maybe ease our way back into the region to try to, get some of that business to come here and leverage the facilities that are elsewhere?
The history between the city of San Ramon and the Tri-Valley Convention and Visitors Bureau was not good.
I understand, and from an Arts Foundation standpoint, we did do collaborative efforts with, in the past with the previous, leadership and membership. But, that's changed about 2 or 3 years ago. And there might be some benefit in reaching out. I mean, I know we just had the cricket tournament here, right? And it was in San Ramon, it was in Dublin, and it was in Pleasanton. And there were tournament games in each of the cities. And there were 12 teams from outside of California, which are, families, coaches, et cetera, there. Great, great benefit there. I don't know how many of them stayed in a hotel in San Ramon. I mean, there were matches in San Ramon, but there were more matches at Fallon Sports and at Stanford Sports. Used to be Patelco, used to be Burnell Park, used to be whatever. So, I mean, those are some of those events that are starting to attract people, but it's more on a regional basis. So, I mean, is there any thought
And
of-
these hotels would participate.
Yeah,
The lead time on that business is generally pretty long. The other thing is that's not always profitable business. A lot of these groups, they sleep 4 kids to a room. They go to Burger King, or in this case,
In-N-Out Burger.
the In-N-Out Burger. Again, the focus is to generate profitable business for the hotels.
All right. Well, I mean, if we're down
But-
40%, I would think business would be business.
Not necessarily.
Okay,
Profitable business is profitable business. It is desired business.
all right. All right. All right. Well, I was just seeing if there was any outreach to try to leverage some of that other business that's going on in other areas in the Tri-Valley.
Well, maybe with the new, if we can find an employee who works for Discover San Ramon, they'll have time to go after some of that kind of business. But again, that's generally long lead time business, at least a year.
Okay, all right. All right.
But you're right. So things change and you have to go after business that you might not have before, and you may have to go after it in a different way.
Yeah, no, exactly. Exactly. And if you're down 40%, 45% in your revenue stream, you might want to, start looking at alternative, revenue streams. And I think the hotel people have such a focus that they're not looking at, kind of like other events that are, in the area that they could profit from, and they're just focused on that.
Like most businesses, they have employee issues too.
Yeah.
Just, finding people that come to work and keep coming to work. And it's kind of an entry level job for a lot of people, and not many people that live in San Ramon and Danville want to work in a hotel. So they normally have to come from Hayward or Vallejo or places like that.
Okay, all right. I mean, I would like to keep more communication with, Park and Community Services, because for example, that the concert coming up would be a great opportunity to put together a weekend package. And that could be profitable business. If
Mhm.
you're paying $100 a ticket, that could be, a good sign that even if it's just have a pre-dinner, at the hotel or at one of the restaurants that they support.
I'm sure
Okay.
that they would be more than happy to listen. On a more organized effort. I'm hoping that we can get the chamber more involved because the chamber is transitioning
Yep,
at the same time.
yep.
We are not opposed to ideas and I'm not opposed to coming back and answering questions.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, well, let us know how we can help.
Okay.
Hey, can I build one more thing? Hey,
Oh, yeah, anybody?
yeah, just, I didn't know the process. We're gonna do question comments, but
No,
that,
comments.
here's
go.
my comment. First of all, thanks for doing, we have used, so getting back in the guardrail, I like that terminology in the beginning. But how does Parks has a users group, so we have the soccer group, we have the cricket group, and they meet twice a year. I think it's a great opportunity, and they bring tournaments, like when I was president of soccer, we had 4,000 people come in and out on a weekend for tournaments from all over the state. My point is there a way that maybe a representative could meet with the user group? I think it's in June, their next meeting, to talk about,
Sure.
hey, and there's more of a partner with this group, so it's all the sports club. I was talking with a cricket person last time, I'm like, hey, why don't we have to get a tournament here? And we got lots of hotels. So I think there's a big opportunity, and I get your point about profitable business, and that could be quite the conversation, because we've looked at that with other soccer clubs in Davis or whatever. So there's a way to drive profitable hotel business as we work through that. And they've cracked the code in a couple other areas to go do that. So I hear you on that. And then the other thing I had is, the whole marketing part I found very fascinating, but as we partner with certain sites, and how do we drive some type of incentive? Because that's what we do for a living. My job we do for a living, but I like the idea of what you guys were doing, but how do we provide some type of incentive to get the leisure travel in? So, because it's that help, that there's a big difference when you're offering it, and then is there some type of incentive? To Will's point was a really good one about, how can we tie into, our concerts, or how do we stay 5 nights and get 20% off, whatever that is. It makes a big difference in the people that click through. So it's just an idea. And then the last one is, I like your point about the chamber. It seems like you and the chamber are kind of going together, and your objectives are the same. So I think it's a really smart idea to leverage the resources a lot. So anyways, I hope that helps, but just some comments.
I would say that if you have a group that wants to meet, the hotels would be happy to do that. It would also be a good idea for you to hear from the hotels. This is what it's like in the past when we have done a soccer tournament, there are 2 sides to every, all that business.
I travel for a living. I see that side too, and I travel, especially on the plane. So I get it, but if you're looking, what you said earlier, one of your goals of how do you get more of our community and market more of their community, I think that's a great group to tap into. So, I'll follow up and with the person who runs it, drop them a note. So I think
Okay.
it'd be really smart. Okay, thank you so much, by the way.
Sure.
Quick follow-up question. We have 4 million clicks. How many saves? Clicks are great, but how long people stay on the site, how long they click through and leave their name, and pop-up comes up and you're.
The click-through rate was, 1.5% or something like that. Very, it's a staggering large number that is on their phone all the time, looking at these things. And a lot of people look, but they do so very quickly. And how many of them actually come through that?
Yeah, the key is the time they stay on the site, whether they save it, whether they leave their information, whether they get a follow-up, and 1.5 is pretty low.
Very low.
Yeah. You're looking to get somewhere in the 10 to 15% range to be reasonably successful. So, okay, other comments?
Yeah, I'm, thinking about marketing and just seeing this as actually a really almost like a ground zero opportunity, and to really leverage the Chamber of Commerce, and getting these 4 GMs to really understand that a lot of people don't want to stay in San Francisco. They would maybe rather stay out here. And if there's transportation for them to be able to get a bus, like you were talking about, sort of the scenario to go to those outlets, there's lots of different ways to attract folks and families to stay on if they're here for a wedding, hey, we also offer this. And I know that that's kind of where Will was going, and I met, or Chair Dorlick and Commissioner Breed. But I definitely feel like this is like a super opportunity, and don't lose hope. I think that we're kind of like, it's just new. It's a new beginning. And I think that it's a lovely place. That's why we all live here. It's beautiful. There's lots of hiking. There's lots of recreation. It's not just restaurants. But there's a lot to do out here too. And it's a great location. It's a great launching place if you want to go north, south, east, or west.
The challenge is the things that make San Ramon a great place to live and do business are not necessarily the things that attract people to come here and spend a weekend. And you don't want to change that. You don't want to bring hotel business in that drives up crime and suddenly this is not a great place to live.
No, but if they're here for a weekend for a wedding and they know that, oh, I can stay for a couple extra nights and go wine tasting in Livermore or up to Napa, go to the city for the day, but I can come back and I don't have to repack my suitcase to another hotel. I mean, I say this like opportunities.
You sound like my wife.
Yeah.
I want to check in. I want to go see a lot of things and I don't want to touch that.
Place, don't want to have to repack. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just think, our Perks and Community Services events are, maybe more local focused, and folks live locally and will drive home. But you never know, as things evolve, there may be more opportunities.
I don't know if any of you remember when we did the 4th of July fireworks a few years back. Oh,
Too many years back.
boy, that was a lot of work and generated very few people that actually stayed in San Ramon now. Yeah. And the San Ramon people stayed in their backyards and watched the fireworks, and all the people that came to Central Park were from Hayward and Vallejo and not the kind of people that were going to stay all night in a hotel. But I would say these are changing times. We have new general managers to hotels. They have to compete for business. They have to compete with other communities. So they're not going to be resistant to ideas. They may be restricted by what their corporate owners allow them to do or how much time they can donate or dedicate to a certain function. And they're all dealing with smaller staffs too. What about the student commissioner? She's not going to ask you any questions?
Yeah, I just kind of, yeah. So I really like the thoughts about having tournaments. Also, just in terms of like teenagers, I remember last year, I don't know if it was like earlier this year or like 2022, but there was a DECA conference. It was actually held in one of the Marriotts. I'm not sure which one. I think the one right behind the city center, somewhere around here. It was pretty close. And it generated revenue for a lot of the businesses around, because I used to work at Crumble Cookie. So I was there on one of the nights where all the teenagers were coming in. And that being said, the way that these organizations work, because I do work with a similar organization, they book out like 500 rooms, and then they contract those to the high schools from there. So I know that a lot of the organizations like DECA, which is short for, wow, I can't think of it, but I work with Future Business Leaders of America, which is FBLA. How it works is they usually work with convention centers, and I know we don't have as many around here, which is, I think, the big barrier in terms of that. But working with those organizations would really help. And then the other thing I keep thinking back to, I think Commissioner Oslin and Dolrick also made a really good point about this, is like Costco, as you all, I'm sure you know, they do like the Visit Maui packages where you like get the flight and then you get the 2 nights in the hotels. And then from there, you like book like a like a big bus ride around like all of like, I know we don't do that in Maui, but in San Francisco we have the big bus rides all around town. So maybe like a visit Bay Area type thing, because we have a lot of great places and it's not just limited to San Ramon. We have a lot around here, and I think San Ramon, it's not exactly a center point, but it is pretty close, and it gives us the opportunities to have visitors all around town. And I know that if teenagers were to come, they would spend at least a night in the city center, but they would not be stuck here. So giving them the opportunity to take travel around the Bay Area is a great opportunity to capitalize on.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? All right, Dennis, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Sure,
Thank
sure,
you, Dennis.
Yep, we'd like to have that be a bit more regular visit.
I think.
Well, Kathy has some.
Oh,
I,
Kathy,
no,
yes.
I would assume there's no public comment, but you should make sure.
Oh, that's right. Is there any public comment?
None at this time.
Okay, there we go.
Thank
We
you.
both are off the hook. Dennis, thank you very much. Look forward to it.
Thank you, Dennis.
Yep. All right, 8.2. And I have to admit, when this came up, I said, which park is this? Because I forgot that we used the Bartlett Park.
Yeah.
Pear Park. Yeah, the BPP.
It's a peer park, yes.
Yeah. So Bartlett Pear Park, say that again. Bartlett Pear Park Progress Update and Public Art Piece Change. P.
May I go ahead? All right. So Bartlett Pear Park, you're right, it can be a bit of a tongue twister, is moving very quickly. And I actually expect that it will open in 2025. So when I mean quick, most of these parks that the Parks Commission works on, it seems like they take 10 years. Of course, we did have COVID in the middle of most of those parks, but they take an enormously long time. That is not the case with this particular park. Which is why tonight I am bringing back the public art piece for discussion and potential approval. And I thought, as long as we were talking about this particular park, I wanted to provide an update in regards to how the park plans themselves are progressing. And it was also kind of an opportunity to educate the commission on the process parks go through after conceptual plan is approved. Because usually the Park Commission approves a conceptual plan and you really don't have much touch point with the park until we get to the grand opening. And that is the process, and that is your purview. You're up here at the 40,000-foot level, providing the guiding vision and concepts, but you're not down in the details because that's the staff's job to get that to happen. So just to catch our newest.
We're on the peaks, not the pits.
Yeah, there you go.
To continue the peak.
Just to catch our newer commissioners up, because this also happens, there's a changeover in commissioners as time goes, and the people who started the park, well, I'll use even Sunrise Ridge, 11 years ago, aren't necessarily still on the commission, although Chair Dorlick is. But in this case, with this park, you are. So it's just an opportunity. So the little background to catch everyone up. So Summerhill Homes is developing the housing complex on the BR6 site. It includes a 2-acre park. A portion of that park is a bioretention area, and that actually will be maintained by the homeowners association. That bioretention, there's a mechanism underneath the park, and that drains all the water so that it processes correctly. The park is a passive design. In other words, we don't have sport fields. It was very intentionally designed that way. It features that natural setting with the beautiful wide meandering paths that connect to the walking district. The park includes 3 small play areas. The vision was that you would wander along the path and come across them and be able to enjoy these little interesting points throughout the park. The 3 areas, one focuses on nature and the natural world, one's focused on music, and then the last one is balance and spinning. The park also includes the 2 public art pieces. They're on opposite ends of the park at 2 of the entrances. So just to back all the way up, this has actually been the fastest process we've probably ever gone through with a park. March 9th, 2022, the Parks Commission approved this conceptual design. January 11th, 23, the Parks Commission reviewed and approved the 2 pieces of artwork that were designed by Dale Rogers. And then July 12th, 2023, you all named the park with the input from the community. And just to make sure everyone's clear, the reason for the Bartlett Pear Park name is because the land that the park is actually on was the largest pear orchard in the world in the 1940s. It's a pretty auspicious and exciting thing to have. So city staff have been working closely with Summerhill Homes to review and finalize park plans and confirm the estimated cost of the improvements for the park. This is key, which are then deducted from the park fees that the developer is required to pay for each building permit issued. So in this case, the developer provided a 2-acre park and they'll pay 7.7 million in fees, less the cost of the improvements. So as we were working through this as staff, and you've got the plan going and we're approving, plan after plan and making adjustments throughout to fix things that need to be fixed, because a concept plan is a giant vision. It's like a pretty painting, but then when you get down to the brass tacks of the situation, you have to say, well, on this pretty picture we did here, the drinking fountain doesn't make any sense because the water main's coming in over here. So if I have to go another 500 feet, it's going to cost a lot more money. But if I put the drinking fountain over here, it's a much better economic situation, or there may be topography that we weren't aware of, and you have to shift things. So a concept plan is not an actual plan, it's a vision. So at normal course, working through all of that. When we got the budget for this, because the cost of the park is deducted from the amount of the fees that the developer owes us, so that they don't have to pay as many fees because they're putting the improvements in the park. When that came in much higher than anticipated, then those changes become really important. So we were able to make some changes to the park plans to bring that cost down a bit. And so then what we'll end up with is $2 million that will come back to the Park Development Fund. That's important when you look at the whole big scheme of parks and how we approve parks and how these fees work. Because like right now, for example, Crow Canyon Gardens doesn't have a funding source identified for it. We know, because we've all been out there, that it needs money. And we even have, now we're getting the conceptual plan for that park. We have all these pieces, but now we need funds. So if we put every bell and whistle in the world into one 2-acre park, it means you have less for the other. All good choices, but ultimately you have to kind of weigh them as we move through. It becomes challenging, right? Because when you approve a conceptual plan, you don't get to see a budget because there isn't a budget done on a conceptual plan. It's a vision, and that's your job. But so it's staff's job to continually look at that and keep moving and then trying to adjust. But you can, in your big vision, always realize that there's a cost to all things. That following? So I'm going to get lost in my notes here. I think we got that. So anyway, as we move through the planning phase, using conceptual plan as a guide to the overall vision, that we came to some things that we could switch up that still maintained the Parks Commission vision, because that's the goal. Stay with the vision, but didn't fundamentally change the aspect of the park. So if we came back and said, oh, we can't afford the boardwalks in this particular park, that would be a major change. And we would come back to the commission and say, yo, commission, we can't afford this park because it's going to be $7.5 million. We only have 7 million coming in fees. We have to remove something. We recommend this to bring back to your choice. Most of the time, the things that we change are things that will make the maintenance, the long-term maintenance, more functional. So for example, the switch from a colored stained concrete pathway, little interior pathway, really pretty on the drawing when you look at it, because you're like, oh, they see these little paths and they're colored pink. And you're like, oh, that looks really pretty on this picture. But the functionality of that when it comes to the public services department is it's all great for the first few years, but when that pretty pink path breaks, then they have to try and match this colored stained concrete, which is almost impossible to get the same color. So go look at Central Park and you can see some of the areas, the patch is ugly and it's very noticeable. So we can get the same effect by using a texture and using the same color concrete, and therefore changing the maintenance, making it cheaper and keeping it looking more beautiful for longer. So that's the kind of change that is normally made through the plan review process. The same thing is with playground surface. So a poured in place playground surface is the smooth rubberized surface. It looks beautiful, right? You've seen them, and it's super appropriate in some areas of this park, specifically the musical instruments because it's smooth and it will make it very accessible and easily accessible for everybody. And in other places, Phi Bar is also accessible, but it goes better like with the nature play area because we've got logs and rocks. So having a poured in place material doesn't go as well with that theme. And the problem with poured in place is the exact same thing that when it wears, when there's a wear pattern, you cannot never patch it and get the color the same. So it will always appear as a patch. And so you can see it when you look in our other parks. So for long-term maintenance, poured in place is more expensive, harder to maintain, harder to keep looking nice. Phi Bar is a better choice. And so those are another one. The same thing in plant material. When builders come in and they want to build a park, they do the plan, they want it to look lush and gorgeous the second you take that park over. But the reality of that is plants grow. And if you plant 20 plants in a space that really, when they're adult plants, will only hold 10, then Public Services has to go back in and remove 10 of the plants in a couple of years and cap all those bubblers and redo the irrigation. So it's more prudent and better long-term maintenance and cost-wise to put in the 10 plants, knowing that they will grow to fill in the space. And that's what our Public Services Department has done. They've learned this. If you look at our other parks, I think Rancho was the one where they really had a good lesson because that's exactly what happened out there with the plants. And so they review the plans and they adjust. So those are all the kinds of things that you'll see that I added in that list of the kind of things that we're changing without changing your vision. The two things that I feel like are important to raise with you, because I do think they're outside of your vision and why I thought this was a great opportunity to come back and talk to you, are the solar charging stations. So we thought that was going to be a really cool widget when we all thought, oh, that's going to be really cool, solar charging stations, this is going to be fabulous. But the Public Services Department was really concerned about it. And I got it when I took a little harder look at that particular piece of equipment. And given, especially, you've seen all the vandalism we've had, they're really concerned that with all the little holes that would be in this charging station, that gum and sticks and rocks and things would get stuffed into all those little holes, that they would break, that they don't have an expertise on fixing them. And that ultimately most people are now carrying little battery packs, and there's just less need to have that particular element in the park, and that it would be a maintenance issue and that it would get removed eventually anyway. So that's a big one because that was different than what you originally thought. But in retrospect, I agree with Public Services that it would be really fun for about maybe 6 months, and then it will be a problem. The other one is the bathroom. So the bathroom was originally a split with the commission. It was kind of a 50-50 where half of you thought that having a bathroom in the park was important and half of you thought it wasn't important. And so it was a tough one, but we went, okay, well, we'll err on putting the bathroom in the park. The cost of the Tool bathroom related to needing another water meter for the park in order to have enough water pressure to have the double bathroom. And that cost was incredibly high to do that. And so if we went to a single unisex bathroom, then that brought the lead for the extra water meter off and the extra booster pump and everything else. So you can have a unisex bathroom, single seat, and be able to not spend, it was really expensive. It was a couple $100,000 for that water meter. In addition, across the way at the transit center, there are more bathrooms. So that was another one that, although the bathroom's still there, I think that still meets your vision. It's not a men's and women's restroom. So I want the commission to be looped in and know what's going on. So then with all of that, the last piece of this puzzle is our park name. So when we did all this, we didn't have the park name, and you kind of think you almost want to have the park name before you do all the planning, but it's the cart before the horse type of a thing. So in addition to all those changes that we made, we also asked them to add a interpretive sign so we could have something that would explain the Bartlett Pear Orchard. And so we really anticipate that the park name will probably get shortened. I doubt people will say Bartlett Pear Park. I think it will be known as Pear Park, which is kind of cute too in the grand scheme of things. So an option came up with the art piece because right now the commission approved what was Swirl Bird and the Big Rabbit, if you all remember, and there's pictures in your packet. And they're great pieces of art. They're by Dale Rogers, who did People in Central Park. It's he's a great artist. He's great to work with. And the builder got his name from us, contacted him and said, he's great. Well, I'll build you this great piece of art for, about $21,000. That's all part of the budget. No question about that. And we can leave them exactly as they are, and that is fine. The plans are approved at 95%. So we're on this last 5% little bit, and then they're launching. Everybody's on the edge, need to go and move forward. But the question came up, what if we switch that art piece to a pear because of the Bartlett Pear Park name? So Dale, the artist, is perfectly willing and happy to do it. He did a quick little picture of a small version of it, but he could do it large. And that's in your packet. In a perfect world, I would have probably gone to the Arts Advisory Committee first and had them weigh in. However, I don't have that kind of time, just based on your agendas with the next few packets are going to be kind of heavy. And so even if I get the Arts Advisory, I can't get it back to you until March. So it's too late. And you are the ultimate deciding body. The Arts Advisory Committee is an advisory committee to you. So you really are the ones who make the decision anyway.
And we have 3 alumni from Arts Advisory Committee.
You certainly do. So so I also included in your packet, and I'm sure you probably got a chance to read it, the actual tidbit from the Arts Advisory Committee packet that the AAC felt the Jackrabbit had a wonderful presence, would draw children and people of the park, interact with peace, natural feel of the park in a whimsical aspect. They thought Swirl Bird provided a contrast, an opportunity to view and engage. I think in talking with Adam Chow, who was the staff to the committee, he felt that the Arts Advisory Committee were a little more passionate about the rabbit and that Swirl Bird was just, a nice piece. But it's really up to you guys. So today I'm really seeking approval to switch the art piece prior to a second review by the Arts Advisory Committee due to the timing. And so I have option 1, replace the rabbit with the pear. Option 2, replace the Swirl Bird with the pear. Or option 3, leave the rabbit and the bird as originally planned. They're fine. They're beautiful pieces. No one will ever know that we considered a pear. So that really concludes my report, and I'm happy to answer any other questions you have.
So I'll just put my opinion forward first.
Well, I think we have to do questions first, right?
You can do that, but I'm gonna put my opinion out there first because I very.
I can't hear you. Speak up a little bit.
Okay, I like the hair on the pear. I like the hair on the
Good
pear.
one.
I think it makes a good thing. That's just my opinion. I'll put that out there. So let's ask clarifying question.
Yes. So Kathy, my question is the list of items that have been pulled or modified. We have no input on that at all.
Not really. Because they're all still within your vision concept plan.
Well,
So-
the vision was to have wide pathways.
We
And
still
so
have
if the
that.
entrance is narrowed, that's taking away that concept.
Okay, well, that one specifically, let me answer that more clearly. So
And to
that-
add more landscaping doesn't, to me, match with what we just heard.
It does if you know exactly where I'm talking about.
Is it at the entrance on the corner
No,
when you come in?
no, nor is it on the entrance off of A Street. It's the back. There was a little teeny back entrance, and quite honestly, I don't think anybody even caught it because I didn't catch it even in the original plan. Thank you. So as you look at this
Is it
picture,
that?
see there's a little teeny entrance that goes back towards the houses. Do you see that?
Yes.
That's the entrance that we're speaking of. And so it had they had created a larger plaza kind of back here in that corner. And it's expensive. And it's really a very minor entrance that goes to the neighborhood. It's not any of the major entrances. So we just put more landscaping there. It's not wasn't very significant. It didn't lower the size of the pathway. It lowered where they had created a lot of extra concrete.
And then I guess my other question was about the bathroom. So if we have one bathroom, what if that goes out? So you're suggesting that people cross the street and go to the transit center?
Well,
Is
if-
that the alternative?
If the one bathroom went out, most people you wouldn't find the men using the women's or the women using the men. The whole restroom would be closed, just like we close anytime we have a problem.
We could have a unisex bathroom.
You could, but the additional cost, so ultimately, if that's a really important piece, so that's something we consider with the builder, but you will spend probably, I want to say $400,000 to achieve that end, to get the meter for the additional water and to be able to build the bigger bathroom. So I think in keeping with your vision and trying to generate some funds for other parks, it's more logical to do it the other way. But those were the two, that's why I called the two out, because I knew those were the two important ones, the solar charging station and the bathroom. So my professional opinion and the public services professional opinion is that a single unisex restroom in a 2-acre park, which is they consider to be more of a neighborhood park, is adequate, because not all of our neighborhood parks even have restrooms at all. And this commission was tossed 50-50 on whether or not to have a bathroom at all. So, but it's certainly up for discussion.
So how can we as commissioners work with understanding the costs when we are creating a vision for a park? How can we be better stewards of our money and spend it wiser upfront, not now, cutting back?
It's challenging, right? It's very challenging, because if you'd asked me at the get-go, I wouldn't have realized that this park would need an extra meter, right? So that's what drove that cost up in order to make that more expensive. You know, it's a bit of a learning curve for everyone to realize that some attributes cost more than others. So restrooms are expensive. So as a guiding principle, you have to decide if you really need a restroom in that park. If you look at like a regular neighborhood park, like the pretty passive ones that just have, you know, a little picnic area, a little playground, some grass, those are fairly inexpensive to build. This park has wooden pathways and play areas and benches and lounge chairs and big boulders, and it has all these great attributes, which I think are great. I think they're good attributes specifically in this downtown park with this vision of the walking district. But as we proceed through other parks, you really need to think about, if you're putting a park that's all by itself out in a neighborhood that's just going to serve that surrounding neighborhood, does it need all those bells and whistles? And I know you're asking, how do you know what those things cost? There's no way to cost them out at that point. It's a concept. The cost kind of comes later. I mean, I wish there was.
And we still need to focus on the concept. Because we're not in the weeds, literally and figuratively. So I think we need to keep focusing on the concept, and then it's staff's job to kind of bring in the budget and the experience of building the park that then comes back to us and say, hey, that was a great concept. Do you realize that if this is really important, we can proceed with that? But so it's that give and take. So I don't think we should get away from the concept and be as concerned with the, you know, the details until we get to the stage.
I'm not disagreeing. I just think it would behoove all of us to have more knowledge about these attributes and the maintenance that is going to be required, especially for like a boardwalk. Having 3 separate play structures, play areas with things that are going to break. I mean, I feel it's our role to be mindful of these decisions on the front end, rather than having to make all these modifications later. I'm not disagreeing with some of the decisions and hard, fast decisions that had to be made. It's more the process of it. I would like to be more educated on when we're looking at beautiful pictures of, oh, wouldn't that be great? Then we're of course going to be the kids in the candy store wanting to pick all those wonderful attributes. So it's understanding really what that will constitute in the future.
And I absolutely agree. And that's really one of the reasons that I thought to attach the information to this specific report, because it provided an opportunity, because I needed to come back for the art anyway, to talk about this, because I do think it's an important concept. And to that end, we could just have an educational presentation when we've got a slow month that goes, okay, well, let's just look at the cost of, average park features, maybe to help everybody get
That'd be great.
kind of a sense of some of this stuff before we get to it. It's a learning curve even for staff, because you have to realize that park development is long-term, right? Like I said, Sunrise Ridge was developed years ago. None of us, except for Will in this room, had anything to do with Sunrise Ridge. And so you lose that knowledge over time, both by staff and commissioners. So you become educated the more and more you do it, the more you talk to people. So absolutely, we can put something together.
Yeah, but I mean, there are some other, like, additional water meter. Probably wouldn't have been known ahead of time to say, to support 2 bathrooms in this particular park where the utilities are required a second meter, which adds an incremental, cost to it. So there are some things that we can get a ballpark on and understand, well, what does this play structure cost? Right? Or what is the surface cost? But there's always going to be some things that we don't know until you get into the details and the planning and actually contact, maybe East Bay Mud and say, hey, we're going to put 2 bathrooms here. And they're going to go, in order to support that, we're going to need to put a second water meter. I mean, it happens in construction all the time.
The only thing is, I think the point is well made, is that the more you're educated on our decisions and more upfront, and what is true, like, for instance, no one knew that from the building fund, we're trying to get some funds to pay for cocaine. I mean, we need to make a decision as a committee to say, what are we trying to achieve for the city and how do you pay for it? So once you get that education up front, then you understand the back half when there's changes being made, because we're trying to meet a different goal. And so when you look at the park differently, to Julia's point, when you see it the first time, you're like, oh my God, I got it, but what's it really, and what are we really trying to do in your expectation setting or your level setting the right way? So,
Oh, it happens with public art too, because oftentimes when the base comes back from engineering, it's twice as expensive as you thought it was gonna be in the first part because of the construction requirements, the support requirements, the safety requirements, et cetera. So, yeah, there's gonna be some level of understanding, but there's always gonna be when it comes back from engineering. You know how those engineers are.
They like a lot of rebar.
So the goal, the goal here is to talk about the rabbit, the twirly bird, so right?
Well, we want to talk about all of the changes in the park and, get any clarification on that.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's what
yeah.
was my
Yep.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, that was, totally. So are there any other clarifying questions regarding any of the other changes to the park?
The only thing I would have is on the, I'm cool with the charging station, because I get it. But there's like we did, I forget the transit park or whatever, but I wonder how we continue to push, how we can get technology more involved in the city, right? If I know this is the vision, but whether it's some type of charging center or more internet, how do we get more internet? But how do we continue to push that, plus it ties into the, what, so.
Yeah, this park's supposed to be a smart park. So just
Yeah.
because it doesn't have a charging station doesn't mean we still can't pursue that. The smart park concept, however, when you got right down to it, there's not really much that the builder puts in to make it a smart park, because the city is the one who has to pay for the subscription to the Wi-Fi
Yeah.
in order to put the signal where you want the signal, which we can do off the bathroom structure. And so that's still in consideration, but no one's diving into that particular piece of the puzzle until we actually get to the park being built. For the very obvious reason that sometimes these parks gets delayed and then the whole technology thing
Yeah, that went
changes.
well, right, that we've done that. Thank
Yeah.
you for answering that. I did not know. And the term smart park means,
Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi. Okay, well, actually understood. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I myself was surprised that, putting gum and stuff into the, the USB ports. I didn't even think that would be something that would happen since you want to keep your phone charged. But, any other clarifying questions, comments regarding?
He goes before me, so, yeah, go ahead, do it.
Yeah.
We've got
Yeah, there was a list up. I think
Oh,
you're
I
next.
should put the map up. when we-
Oh,
what you're talking about.
I'm number 2. I want to be respectful of whoever was number 1.
I don't have a list.
So
here,
it was
Sorry,
Hold on.
so.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Steve,
I made my
Steve.
comment.
Oh, it is me.
Yogi,
Sorry.
It's you.
Okay, go ahead.
These are questions
Commissioner
still?
Owens. Yeah. Questions, clarifying questions, comments?
Hey Kathy, so my question's actually about the pair, and I know the dimensions say, to be determined. But is the idea that it would be similar to maybe kind of what the rabbit is or something? Because the first thing I thought was, are kids gonna be able to like climb on this? And is it it's a nice piece of art, but is it just gonna become like a toy and kind of defeat the purpose?
I think that the concept was that it would be the similar height to both the other pieces.
Okay.
Because it'd be bigger. So he at first drew it out as a little one. That's why you see the grass, but that wasn't the plan. It would be, because the rabbit is 6'9"
9.
Yeah.
and the whirly bird was 6'3". So I would
Oh,
assume
okay.
we'd have a pair that'd be 6 something.
Okay, thank you.
Shooting guard and a small forward.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I
comments?
have it.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
How big's the pair?
Vice Chair Mitra.
Thank you. Thanks, Kathy, for bringing this up. Couple of questions is, you said that, we overshoot the budget. How much?
Oh, there.
The original, okay, wait, I get the number.
So the
right.
original was 5.64 and 2 million, so 7.64. Now we are asking to change all those things. I see that this
The
is not.
original budget, the original budget came in at over 6 million. So it was 6 something. I don't remember the precise number, sorry. So when you looked at it, you went, oh my gosh, we are building a 2-acre park and we're going to spend 6.6 million to build it. Okay, conversely, like Sunrise Ridge is I can't remember how many acres that park is. I think it costs, maybe it was 12 million, something like that. So it's like disproportionate. It's a lot of money for a very small space. And I encourage, if anyone wants to clarify this, go to one of our 2-acre parks, because you look again at the pretty picture, it looks fabulous, but this is a small park. So that's why.
So here it said the initial cost, the cost of the park improvement under 5.5.
Yes.
If I read it correctly, 5.64 is the cost and 2 million goes to the park development fund. So
Yeah.
totally the budget was, or
Originally,
7.664, and you are saying it's going more than that.
the original budget was 6 that they came back with on the original design with none of the changes was 6, I want to say 6 million, 6.4. I think that's what it was. So we brought it back down to 5.
Right.
And put a cap on it in the agreement with the developer so that we could control the cost and not have it go all the way to 7 million or beyond for that matter, and then have the city have to pay the developer.
Right. Okay. So that's the one. Can you remind me, so there are 2 locations, the map is not there anymore, but there are 2 locations where we decided the art pieces, right?
Yes.
Can you remind me where did we decide to go, where Rabbit should go and the other one?
The rabbit was originally slated to go, the picture's up there now.
Yeah.
By the bathrooms
Yeah.
off of,
By the bathroom, it's Rabbit
Yeah.
goes on the left side.
yeah. And then
this one goes-
Squirrel Bird was originally designated to go on the corner of Camino Ramon and the Executive Parkway.
And now you're saying the pier should go where the intersection between Executive Parkway and Camino Ramon.
That would,
Somewhere it says that it's visible, park visible, the Camino Ramon and Executive Parkway.
yeah, well, to me, that would be logical because that's the streets. And so people driving by will
Right.
see a giant pear. And so the park's name is Bartlett Pear Park, I feel like there's some great association there. It's like, oh, there's that pear park. And the fact that you, as you're in the walking distance, you're going to walk along the paths and you're going to see the giant pear and the sign, and you're going to go, oh, Bartlett Pear Park. I think to me, it also draws the question. I mean, it makes you go, why is it named Pear Park? And then handy dandily, we have a beautiful interpretive sign that says, oh, you know what? This was the world's largest pear orchard in 1940. But like I said, the other pieces are beautiful. So I can be perfectly happy keeping them just as they are. I just wanted you all to have the option.
Okay, all right. And I remember when we discussed that those two art pieces were already, the artist already had them. That was one of the conditions that we picked up, one of the, if I remember correctly. Is that the case with the pier as well?
No, he would build the pear.
But he will keep the cost the same, because
Yes.
bringing the cost down was because he already had it. So that was, if I remember correctly.
I can't say for certain what got said in the Arts Advisory Committee meeting because that wasn't here. But I don't.
But anyway,
know
cost will remain the same.
yeah.
Cost will remain the same. Okay, okay, all right. That was my question. I have a suggestion, but that was the question.
Okay, are there any other comments? Okay. All right, so do we have any suggestions regarding the,
Well, I move that we replace the Swirly Bird art piece with a pear art piece for the Bartlett Pear Park.
Paper,
What's that?
paper.
is there a
Bartlett
second?
Pear Park. I second.
Okay, do we have any public comment?
No, we do not.
So do we have any discussion regarding the Heron Fair?
What did it say? The hair of the pear?
All right, no further discussion, we'll put it to a vote, please vote.
Feel it.
Yeah, all right. So that passes 6-0-0-1. All right, thank you.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
Thank you
And
so much. I know staff is, worked very hard on keeping a lot of the original intent in the park, and, made professional and difficult decisions as it moves forward through the
Yep.
process.
Yep.
So we appreciate that. All right, so we're at 9.1, staff reports. Recreation, maintenance, and operations report.
I am getting to speak a lot this evening.
That's to our benefit.
Good thing you didn't use all your words, though.
There we go. Well, just a couple of points in the rec report to draw your attention to. I know you've all got a chance probably to look at it, but our tree lighting event attracted a huge crowd. So we went from what was probably 200 or 300 our first rainy year to 750 plus, and that's based on the number of hot chocolate packets. So it's probably the plus. So we're heavy on the plus side. We're already planning to a move to use both the community center and rotunda next year, as well as to look at the tree and some different options. So, because obviously we had more demand, but there's a nice little article in there about it. I think I don't think I did mention the Bark and Ride All Size Dog Park has been closed. Public Services put a nice notice with pictures in there for you. The turf had some issues, so they needed to redo it. And then there became sort of an issue with the big dogs going in the small dog area. And so we were getting some complaints about it, and I got to give the kudos to Public Services because it came up with a solution, which is a beautiful one. And they put temporary fencing around the grass area in the Bark and Ride so that the DG path all the way around the outside and the DG at the end is open. So the big dogs now, during those renovations of this beautiful grass turf, still can play on the DG. They can stay in their park, the little dogs in their park. And then when the grass is done, which they anticipate to be in January, the fences will come down and we'll be back and running again. But in case you ever hear about that out in the community. And then the other thing of note is in the Public Services, you're going to see a lot of vandalism. The fire at Creekside Park, the theft of one of our Toro Workman vehicles from the Caddy Shack here in Central Park. It was recovered, but it was damaged, and then more graffiti, but this time in the sports park. So this is definitely a problem. I don't know that I have this great solution for it, but it's something we're going to keep monitoring and watching. And as we're talking about park development today, it's something we really are going to have to take more into consideration in how we develop parks in the future, because we're going to need to be thinking about it at long term if this vandalism continues and we continue to have this kind of a problem. Does anybody have any questions on the rec report?
Just one quick question about the Bark and Ride dog park. So that park, the grass area built was like a year back, right? So is there any reason it has to be redone again within a year?
Yeah, the irrigation itself failed. It broke. They had problems with it and it didn't get detected. So the grass got burnt. And so that doesn't normally happen. That wouldn't be the norm. And if the grass had been older, it would have been able to withstand that burning, but brand new grass wasn't established enough. So in 2 or 3 years, same thing happened. It wouldn't have to be closed.
Okay.
So every year the park will need to be closed for some grooming, no
Right,
matter
right,
what, that's going to happen.
Right.
But now they've purchased the snow fencing. So every year we won't have to close the whole park. We'll just close the grass,
Mm.
probably in these winter hours. So they can renovate and then it'll open again.
Yeah, so I drive by every day on that, and what I saw that I was very excited to have that new grassy area, because that was one of the things I was pushing for. But I was just worried that if every year we need to do that, redoing the grassing all over again every year, that will be costly and that will be really.
Yeah, no, not completely redoing, but they'll do the same maintenance that they do
Yeah, that's
on
fine.
the sports fields. And it is not cheap. Like,
Right.
I mean, it's much cheaper to have DG.
It looked
and-
costly when I saw that, wow, what they're doing, it looked costly.
Yeah, and so it's that great question. I feel like when you think about the dog park, we met the need in San Ramon, so we have one grass dog park. Do I think we should flip all the dog parks? No, I don't know that that's the right choice. I think having one is a good option for people who want the grass. It's a perfect world because it's got some DG too,
Yeah.
but we're equally getting the people complaining that it's grass. Not as many as we're complaining that we didn't have grass, but we're still getting complaints that we made it grass.
Right.
So we're never going to probably make everybody happy.
Well, the question is, are the dogs happy?
I think so.
Dogs are happy. I drive by that park
Dogs
every day.
happy?
Dogs are happy. For 1 year, I saw them happy,
Yeah.
running around. So yeah, they were
As
happy.
long as you keep the big dogs in their space,
Big
right?
dogs on one, little dogs on the other.
Hey, Will,
Don't think small dog. That's a funny thing.
Kathy,
Wait,
We do have a-
okay, sorry. It's been kind of free flowing today.
Holidays.
so I just wanted to point out, Kathy, on page 3,
Uh-oh.
at the bottom paragraph, sorry, I want to give the right foundation their credit.
Do we have a mistake? I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
maybe the senior foundation hosted the holiday boutique, which I know was really successful. So I just wanted to make sure that that's
We'll
noted.
correct- we'll
Page 3 of
correct it.
16.
Just
And,
email that to your notes, so we'll correct it when we do the minutes too, to make sure the record's correct.
yeah. And I just wanted to also ask a question about the education programs. So they're increasing at the farm, the tours and everything. Do we know why? Is it, I mean, besides COVID, is there more marketing going on? Are the teachers that have been doing it spreading the word to the other?
Well, I
groups?
think people are coming back. So I think that a couple things happened. One, we had COVID, and so then we had that big dip. So we're definitely getting all those tours back. But I think the farm itself is finally caught on. People know about it. I mean, we had the initiative, oh gosh, Brad, I don't remember how many years back. We said, we're going to open this farm every Saturday and we're going to have a program. And it doesn't matter if we have 5 people, 2 people, we're going to do it because we needed that consistency for people to start to recognize that there's a farm there and it's open and you can visit. So I personally think that that's part of what's gotten the farm finally going and increasing tours, increasing glasshouse tours, because there's consistency. I don't know if you want to add, Brad.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, all great points. I think it also has to do with the volunteers, right? Down at the farm, it's really about the docents and the volunteers that make those programs happen. And so it's making sure that we have enough volunteers to offer as many of those programs as we can. And so that gets challenging. And I think we've, Jessica and the team have done a great job with recruiting and we're going full force, and even part-time staff kind of supplementing those so we can maximize the use at the farm. And we're, every year we try to tweak that so we can get a little bit more. And but to Kathy's point, that the farm, I think, is definitely, I think COVID helped in regards to the Saturday programs. It hit its stride because we were seeing huge numbers, and those numbers have not dropped off, maybe a little bit. But, and then I think it's just supplemented with everything else that we have going on down there. So yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah,
So
it's
farms
great.
up and hotel rooms down.
Need to have a conference at the farm.
There you go.
And I love, well, we're not, are we just asking questions?
Just-
Yeah, I love the art gallery rotation and all the artists. It's just wonderful to come in the city hall and walk down the hall and look at all the art and all of our community centers. It's just incredible. So really, really love it.
I will pass that on to staff. They'd like to hear that.
Commissioner Bree.
Thank you. Hey Kathy, are the lunch bunch trips full every time? I'm not sure if you know, but I've heard they're full all the time, right?
Well, yeah, I've heard some of that too, and they've been talking about adding more trips for some of them. I'm not sure I know where we're at on that. Do you, Brad?
I think we're not full all the time, so I don't
Yeah,
want that to
okay.
go out there. I think there are definitely some of the locations that we go to, which are the hot spots that are full. And then some of them are not. I mean, we still get a great turnout, but we're not necessarily at 100% capacity on all of the lunch bunch trips. I mean, I think we're trending high on that, but there is certainly space available on some of those different trips.
No, I just heard that I sat in for Commissioner Osmond
Yeah.
one time for senior advisory and they talked about how great they are and they're full all the time. So it's good. I just want to recognize it and we're measuring capacity for that.
Yeah, they're very well received.
The other thing, this is Steve being Steve. So I was looking at the indoor facility rental program on page 3.
Page 3. Yes, I'm with
It
you now.
looks like you're gonna deliver $1.3 million versus I was just looking your average and how you're doing, which is like overshooting by like $300,000. That's pretty impressive. So
Yeah, the rental program is a good program, and
yeah,
COVID was a rough one because it was so up and down, but we're keep moving up on the rental program. So our trajectory is good. They're doing a great job.
so that, I mean, that's out of scope, but I'll follow up question I will get educated on. And then the last thing is, I want to comment on the tree lighting event. I thought it went really well and I really appreciate the number of people come within 2 years. I mean, I thought it's really a big job. And I think Commissioner Dorlick, nice job in your speech. I thought you did a really nice job. I could hear you and also, but your content was really good. So thank you for doing that. I thought you did a really nice job on that. So, and then, that's it for me, but I just really nice job on bringing that back. I will have, just for public comment, it just bothers me that people vandalize bathrooms. The one thing people need is bathrooms. And what's interesting is we had something on October 26th and then October 27th. It was kind of ironic for me, but, I'm with you, Kathy. We just got to figure out what that is. I mean, it's kind of gone on long enough and we got to figure out how to solve that problem.
Yeah, we gotta look to Singapore and.
Yes, I don't, I know. It bugs me out. So, yeah.
Put as an example.
Yeah.
I just
I hear you.
I
Yeah.
wanted to add about the Bah Humbug run. That was super fun and numbers were up, or at least
Yeah.
I didn't see that in the report.
Oh, it was,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think they wrote a separate one. I want to say they would said we got to 560, something like that.
Huh.
Yeah, which is good, which is solid. I mean, it's not exceptionally more than in the past or less, but it's solid. And we were afraid that with the turkey trot at Bishop Ranch, that we might see a dip. And so we're all worried about that, but it didn't come to pass. So apparently the turkey trotters, where they got 900 plus, did not affect our Bah Humbug.
Excellent. Yeah. And then the tree lighting, we had a little competition. The Sunset did it on Friday night and we did ours on Saturday. I actually really loved ours because it was very, it was family and community like.
Yeah.
And wasn't commercial. It was very special. And I also want to give Chair Dorlick kudos. I loved what you said too. So it was very well done.
Good. I appreciate that. And that really is what staff were kind of going for, that this is, and we'll grow and we'll fix some things and get it better because it was just our second go round with it. But that is what we're hoping for, that it just becomes that thing that you do the warm part of the holidays.
Any other comments, questions, opinions? All right, let's move on to, do we have any public comment?
Not at this time.
Well, that just pretty cinches it all together, doesn't it? All right, so let's move on to commission liaison reports and announcements, and let's start down at Commissioner Pettifat.
So we've had two meetings since the last Parks meeting. We had two special meetings just moved around for the holidays and finals to accommodate all of those. Specifically the November meeting, a bit on the shorter side, but the essence of the meeting was that we met with some officials or like leaders from this program called Elite Swim that wants to help with the teen mental health in San Ramon. And they'll be collaborating with our wellness ad hoc committee. We also approved the dates for our senior tech days, which one already happened on November 20th, which was a success, which we talked a lot about last night. The upcoming ones are going to be on January 15th, February 20th, March 15th, and then March 29th, I believe is tentative, still working on it. So those are the upcoming dates. We'll see if we can add a couple more. Now, getting on to the meeting from last night, we talked a little bit about the teen job fair, which will be hosted in San Ramon for the first time, and I believe in like 4 years maybe. And it's going to be conducted on March 9th, 2024. Other than that, we appointed members from the teen council to be a part of the bike master plan update. And we also appointed an alternate. And then we talked a little bit about how we wanted to kind of increase teen engagement in Santa Ramon programs. There were a lot of really great ideas. Some of the ones that stood out to me are drive-in movie nights, and then conducting cooking classes, and once the kids get good enough at cooking, donating those to shelters. So it's like community service, but also just engagement all in one. Other things like drop-in open gyms on Friday and Saturday nights, one-time workshops for free, hackathons or pitch competitions hosted by the city, and just kind of also conducting a teen business fair where teens get to showcase their own businesses and activities. Other than that, we talked a lot about senior tech days, in particular approval of the flyer. We're planning on expanding the program a little bit for volunteers outside of the council. So we're going to ambassadors and National Honor Society members in the surrounding high schools in the area. And just to increase senior engagement, we're surveying seniors before the event to see what they would like. So this may encompass having the teen council members visiting the senior centers and seeing what the seniors want, and maybe morphing the senior tech days to include a lesson beforehand and then one-on-one support after. That's still in the works, but those are some of the ideas that were on the table.
Good. Where is the teen job fair going to be held? Where's the venue?
I believe it's at one of the senior centers. I'm not sure which one, but
Oh.
yeah. It's usually always conducted at the senior centers respective to whichever city it's like
Got it.
conducted in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Go ahead.
I have to follow that. Okay, all right. So I attended the November 28th city council meeting about 2 weeks ago, which, man, that feels like a million years ago. It was a pretty good meeting. Assembly member Rebecca Bauer-Cahan was there and provided sort of a legislative update on the things that have been going on in Sacramento, and presented a proclamation to appreciate the city for its 40th anniversary. There was the big item was the public hearing for the ordinance to require the safe storage of firearms in a residence, which has been a topic of conversation in the region for pretty obvious reasons. Yeah, that went well. There was a lot of public engagement on that. Very interesting conversation. There was also, after that, a public hearing for the draft general plan 2040 update, which maybe Commissioner Osland might have more information on that from. Okay, never mind. Sorry. So that happened. That was actually dealt with pretty quickly. There was the election of the vice mayor, who's now Scott Perkins, and I believe that was pretty much it. And that's what I've got.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so going back in time to November 14th, special presentation included the proclamation declaration 2023 as San Ramon Chamber of Commerce's 40th anniversary, and Heidi Keniston Lee, the CEO, and Mino Sastry presented that evening. And then the two new business items that were discussed, first item of business was the council received a presentation from Baypack Consulting regarding the bridge type for the Crow Canyon Road and Iron Horse Trail bicycle and pedestrian overcrossing. And they presented several design options. There were three, well, actually, there were two: truss arch, butterfly arch, and then it was brought up by one of the council members to add a railroad style bridge overcrossing. And so that was added during the discussion as possible alternative to look at. And so the city, it was recommended that the city conduct a citywide online survey to capture feedback from the community of their preferred option. And this would help the council make a decision on which design to pursue, because they were very similar in cost. The second item of business was the council discussed the ordinance amending the chapter 13 firearms of Division B7. This is what Kyle was alluding to. And so this is about the safe storage of firearms in a residence. And presentation by Martin License, our city attorney, and police chief Denton Carlson also spoke. They pushed their decision to the November 28th meeting, which Commissioner Levy just mentioned, and to make a decision. And the council wanted to make sure that education was a big part of the promotion of this if they approved it, because that they felt was a really strong part of rolling this ordinance out on safety practices around firearms. Then there was a meeting on December 11th, just this week, and this was a public hearing to discuss the Iron Horse Village Development Project, which is located on Crow Canyon Road adjacent to the Iron Horse Trail and up to the San Ramon main post office. It includes 117 residential units, of which 86 are single family and 31 are multifamily and non-residential. There's a non-residential component with 8 live-work units within this multifamily unit complex. Discussing demolition of the existing parking area, demolition of the existing landscaping, which includes 4 protected trees and tandem parking design, on-street, private roadway parking spaces, and it also includes a tot lot. The outcome of the December 11th meeting was that the city council asked the client to agree to 4 things. To make a U-turn lane longer than 150 feet to 200 feet, because apparently where this is positioned, it would be very difficult for people to make a U-turn. So it has a little bit more space. Also to make one of the single family homes into an affordable unit in lieu of paying inclusionary housing fee. And they also agreed to installing an 8-foot solid wall along Crow Canyon Road to make it more user-friendly for the residents. And then on December 12th, which was yesterday, they had the recognition of the Outstanding Teen Citizenship Award, Shelby Yeh, and our student commissioner was there at the meeting. We also were introduced to the newly promoted Public Works Division Manager, John Bell. And the unfinished business was about the Baypack Consultant, the bridge overcrossing on Crow Canyon, regarding the bridge type. And the decision from the community came through from all the survey information that went out and the results. And it was decided that the butterfly arch would be the selected bridge option. And to keep the color light and or white for lights and lighting. And new business was the Senior Citizens Advisory Committee. They presented their annual report, which we've all received. Then I had where is it? It was the Open Space Advisory Committee meeting was on Monday morning. And our committee business included looking at Outer Spatial, the hiking app that we have, and the website and how it's all functioning. Staff received some comments and feedback, but also we talked about the smart signs. Remember, we talked about that a while ago. And so what we're waiting for now, we don't want to add like special QR codes or anything like that until we want to make sure we're working smart and not duplicating efforts. And so we're waiting for our smart outdoor signs to get a sponsor. So that's coming soon is what we were told. And we also reviewed the, let's see, our meeting dates. We had to agree on our meeting dates, but we also looked at the proposed 2023 annual report goals and objectives. And we have a lot more discussion to take place around that. So that was Monday morning.
Clarifying question. I thought we had decided on the bridge design several years ago. We had community meetings.
Two different bridges.
Huh?
Two different bridges.
So,
The Bollinger Overcrossing is the one that got decided then. This is the Coke Canyon.
oh, this is
Overcrossing.
Cocan.
Other side.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't hear that distinction. I remember we had all these public hearings and we had the designs out there.
bridges.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's the other. Okay. Great. Vice Chair. Funk.
Good. Thank you.
Oh.
Thank- One more thing. Crab Feed. I put a little flyer in front of everyone's place. It's January 27th. It'll be at the San Ramon Community Center. And it's from 6 to 9 and it's a lot of fun. So.
Meetings.
Mhm.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So I have two reports. First one, I was a proxy for November 13th Teen Council for Commissioner Bird. And it was a great event. Thank you for that. So Student Commissioner Turpilli, you did a great job on that. I just wanted to add one item there. So there was at the end, there was a feedback on staff hiring improvement process. What are the things? There are a few things I thought that are very important, very catchy thing, because we normally don't think about that. Is this a summer staff hiring? Because that is the summertime that the students are available. Job advertisements on the city websites. There was a thing came like outside city, the payment is higher. So that could be an issue as well. The idea was like, what can we do to attract more students for volunteering, right? So that's another thing is like, well, our jobs are not properly aligned with the STEM interested things. So what can be done to attract more STEM oriented teens? Then team needed also their availability. So they're, because of the job changes, they need to change their availability as well. So that is the thing. Minimum age is 16. That could be a barrier for some of the teens who want to join on that. And there was one interesting suggestion was that return applicants should get higher pay. So that was, I thought that was an interesting idea on that. So that was the Teen Council. Coming back to Planning Commission, there was a December 5th, there was a Planning Commission. There was a single item that was a development plan concept review, Chang property residential development, which is the same property that we talked about last month. And they wanted to extend the timeline. They wanted to have 18 weeks, remember 18 months extra time to review that, to propose their things. So that they came back and this location is 195-acre site located west of Bollinger Canyon on the north side and north of Crow Canyon. So this pretty much on the fire station on that side, outside the city limit. What they were asking, so again, background is 2017, the Planning Commission approved a plan, which was 43 single-family dwelling, 18 accessory dwelling, 16 acre of one. So that was on a 16-acre area on a 195-acre project. And there was a 2-acre park that was also approved. This on December 5th, there was a proposal that they want to change that. There was a change with, they had came up with the 2 options. First one is they wanted to keep the 43 single family dwelling unit, same, 18th secondary units, same, but they wanted to remove the park altogether. And they want to pay the fees. And in the place of that park, they want to build 70 unit, 3-story multifamily residential home. So they want to take away the whole park, pay the fee, and they wanted to build the apartment complex like 2 sides. 3-story, 70 unit park. That was option 1. Option 2 was 102 single-family dwelling, and 70 units multi-family residential with 3-story and no park again payment. That. So they came to Planning Commission and asked for their approval on one of the two options. Overall, Planning Commission, the main feedback was in 2017, we reviewed your plan, we approved your plan. Why are you coming back and changing your plan right now? Why are you removing the park? Okay, and there were a lot of residents, local residents came in and opposed that, especially the dance area on that. So ultimately, the suggestion or what should I say? The opinion from the commission was, no, go back. We want to have what we already approved. That's it.
Okay, so, hi. So planning did not meet on November 21st, so that was 4 hours back, my life. Sorry, Partha.
Oh my gosh.
All good stuff though. The Innovation and Technology Advisory Committee did not meet in December. There's some discussions going on about the viability of that committee and whether they need to reassess it. EDAC had, go ahead.
There's discussions on whether it's viable. Has it ever met?
It's met. If you look at the history, it hasn't met in a while though. So I was trying to be diplomatic, Will, but EDAC actually had the Economic Development Advisory Committee had a special meeting tonight, and the discussion was on whether they should continue or whether they should dissolve. And after about an hour and a half discussion, they came to the conclusion that it probably should dissolve, that they don't really have a lot to do, and the city staff doesn't really have a lot to present to them to do as a committee. So it still needs to go to city council for them to approve. They may still say, hey, we want EDAC to be here. But the committee is sort of saying we either need a different initiative. We need to roll up into maybe some other committees. But I can speak as someone who was on that committee that we just didn't do a whole lot in my year and a half there. And I know others who've been on that committee as well and have reported back. So that was what happened tonight with that one.
Okay.
And then I'll just do a plug since Julie did it. The the Arts Foundation does a Friday Foreign Film Series in February, and tickets are now available at CinemamonPerformingArts.com. And this year the focus is on Asian cinema, so it will be 4 films from different parts of Asia.
Thank my son. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah. Buy tickets; they're still available.
They are. You'll want to go with me. So that'd be
I'll
great.
go with you. I'll be there.
All right. Okay.
Would it be the same format with a moderator and a discussion and such?
Yeah, we haven't changed that, and then we have speakers lined up for each of them, and each of the speakers is from the country of the film. Yeah.
And it's at the front row.
Oh yes, it'll be back at the Front Row Theater since that has been since Doherty is available now. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Great. Commissioner Breed.
Any other questions for you?
No, please.
Oh, good. Hey, so I went to the teen advisory this last night, which was awesome. And then also I attended the user group meeting. So you covered the teen advisory you did an excellent job. I just want to build on 2 things, if that's okay. One, on the bike master plan, almost the whole room wanted to volunteer. So I believe the traffic person was Chris, and they only wanted 2 people to be alternates. I asked them if they could add like 3 on the committee. So he said they'd look into it, but I thought it was awesome that everyone wanted to get involved, and what a great learning experience to be involved in, because they're going to have public hearings and on the bike plan. So I thought it was awesome they did that. So the other thing on the survey that I want to add is I really liked a lot of ideas they came out with, but one was an outdoor movie like on a Friday or Saturday night out, not by the pools, but more how do we leverage some of our facilities, do that with the teen. So, and the last thing or 2 last things. Oh, the dates of the senior tech days, just in case anyone would apply at that age group, is February 20th, March 15th, and March 19th from 9 to 11. So 9 to 11. So I wrote that down. What's that?
AM?
AM.
Oh.
PM would not work because I think they're closed, but good probing. So, yeah, and then, you know, the one thing I wanted to call out on the teen council that they're tackling a really cool issue on mental health. Remember when we interviewed, they said, what's those of us, you know, everyone through the whole teen thing is what's the one thing that, you know, that you frustrate you or you're challenged or you go changes is homework and the amount of stress that comes with the homework. So the teen council's kind of credit committee, and I think it's Gavin, but they're going to tackle that, which I applaud them for and going after that issue. So and I think it's really important issue and we're getting some good support there. So and some of the work that they're being done, I think is pretty fascinating. And I think it's really important work to be, I mean, everything's important you guys do, but this is a really important one. So we will support in any way we need to. I went to the user group and that was great. So I sat down and all the users were there for our fields. And I got to tell you that the first thing they did is they reviewed some rules, but the second thing they did is they went around the user group and saying, what issues are we having with the fields? And was it Brad or Brett? I always forget his name. Brett. I got to tell you, in my job, they always say, let's start with yes. Everything that every user had an issue. Brett's like, yeah, I'll fix that. Yeah, I'll fix that. I mean, think about that. There had to be, there had to be like 20 issues with each one of our fields. Brett didn't say no to anything. So, and I think that reflects on our city trying to, you know, hey, got an issue. And I mean, these people pay money, obviously, to use our fields, but how we want to, you know, work with our users and try and solve some of the problems. So I don't know, I just wanted to recognize them because I thought there's a really good reflection on our city and that we want our fields. And it's interesting because some of the user groups like, hey, can we put Clay here and help you there? And they also want to have some of the best fields and they understand the value of our parks and our fields and they want to work together to maintain them. So it was a super collaborative relationship. And then it's so interesting because the scheduling that because Jody owns scheduling. So she just pulled out like these massive spreadsheets, but we worked literally like half an hour scheduling fields, which was it was cool. But you know, because it's like a negotiation. So if you're like the cricket users and I'm soccer can have the field. So they did a lot of negotiation, which was kind of fun to watch. So but I thought you know, the team did a really good job on a couple issues came up. Keith handled some issues really well. And so but the way that the city the way that Parks and Community Service, I apologize, works with that group is admirable to say the least, to make sure that we do the best. And I think the group recognizes that. Think about how many of our citizens use our fields that are part of that user group. That might be their first or second experience they have the Parks and Community Services. So I just wanted to, you know, I think we take the right approach there. So I have two last kind of announcements. So this is one, probably wonder why I brought these bags, and I'll tell you in a minute. So one, I don't know if everyone knew what October was, but October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So I had a couple of people that were on my team that Procter & Gamble did, went through that. So I'm super sensitized to that. So our police department did a breast cancer awareness patch. I got y'all one. Everyone gets a patch. So including, I got like 10 of them. So so I bought a patch because I think it's really important. I think breast cancer is massively important. And I think that when we have an organization like our police department create a patch, I said, hey, dude, I call them dudes because it's dudettes, but you know, have a patch for everybody and pass these down. The second thing is, and I told Kathy I was doing this. This is one of my favorite holidays of the year. Brad, I got you patch too, by the way. I made you guys all pumpkin bread. So
let's wait for that.
I know, but when you leave, so Brad, I made some for you, Chrissy, you guys, I made some for you too. So so you guys get pumpkin bread too. So it's already here. Make sure you when you leave, I will show it to you. Because it took me like 6 hours in the wide Zoom work, but so that's your pumpkin bread that you guys all take. So make sure you take one. If not, then I'll just give it to one of my buddies. Can help me out. All right. Yeah. So hey, happy holidays, right? This is really important. Very thankful for all of you. Okay, that's all I got.
Well, I
got it.
Yeah, we all have something. So I was not able to attend the Arts Advisory Committee meeting last month. I was out of town. I don't think there was a backup that went, so I have no idea what happened. So I'm sure they survived. Three other things that I'll mention. I did attend the Saturday night banquet for the youth cricket tournament. That was at the Pleasanton Senior Center. That was very, very exciting and very worthwhile. Went to the closing ceremonies on Sunday evening at the field in Pleasanton. I think it's now Stanford Field. It was Patelco Field before that was Bunnell Field, but I guess Stanford Medical came up with a bigger check than Patelco did, so they changed that name. And that was the best part was that at the banquet, they gave out most of the awards. So there were very few awards to give out on Sunday evening when it was very cold and a little damp. So that was a good change. And then following the tree lighting ceremony, did attend the adult cricket, both the summer and the winter, spring and fall awards with the adult league. And that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun, a lot of participation and some good acknowledgement to the cricket leagues. So, and do we have any public comment?
No, sir.
I'm sorry. It's too bad that the public's not here. Oh, we have one public member here.
We have one public.
Yay, public member.
Any comments? Okay. Yeah. Oh, and you don't have to fill out a form. It's okay.
So I was thinking, based on the teen council and working with their seniors, and you may remember when I was on the Parks Commission, this was something that I thought was really an interesting possibility. And we think of how the youth are helping the seniors learn the technology, but I think it's a really untapped resource for thinking about what could our seniors teach the youth. There's a lot of old, shouldn't call it old time skills, but skills that may have been sort of lost in our headlong lurch into technology. Wisdom, yes, but just sewing buttons, knitting,
practical,
baking bread. That
I'm in.
can you do sourdough? But it would be fun for the youth to have a chance for the seniors to shine and for them to get that affirmation on all the skills and the wisdom. And that includes home repairs. I mean, all the wisdom of the dads and grandpas. So that's just my thought. Thank you.
Cool. Great.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah, no need to fill out a card. So it is the holiday season, so we do celebrate quite a things. But tonight, before we adjourn the meeting, it is appropriate to celebrate one of our integral members of the Parks and Community Services Commission that really makes it work. And Christy, stand up so we can see.
Yep.
Christy, walk over there. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Come on.
That's not optional. That was an order.
Part of the meeting.
Come on. Come on.
We need to help out a little for everyone who doesn't know. This is Christy's very last meeting. She is retiring from the city of San Ramon,
Wow.
effective December 31st. But she'll actually be helping out with that one committee meeting. So we actually have one more, but this is her last commission meeting. And
Wow.
so I know that Will has some beautiful words.
Oh, well, it's just you've been that stable, pillar of the Parks Community Services and the meeting for so many years that we really appreciate your efforts, not just for the meeting, but all those things you do behind the scenes. I mean, if you only put together the teen council interview binders, and that was the only thing you did all year, that would be laudable. But that's just one small part. So we really appreciate it.
Yeah.
We got A big set. Is it a ceremony mug? Because it came to me wrapped, so I have no clue. But I'm thinking it's a big set and we got a few other things for you.
That's something you could put into your center.
Wine?
There you go. I think it's just the right size. For a
Yes.
big mug of wine.
Yes, I agree. I agree. Cute. That's so nice.
Yeah.
I hope I took the price tag off. No. Thank you so much for all you do for us.
Oh,
Appreciate it. You're awesome, man. We're gonna miss you too, but
well, I got a
You did such
good
a
group
good job.
coming in right after me, so you guys are in good hands.
I know, but you've done such a really nice job.
All right.
And super patient. And then I'll never forget when I went to my interview, I saw him the screen and you know, you make sure the process are right, keep us out of trouble. So, you know, we're very blessed and thankful for everything you are gonna be missed. So.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Well, this is so nice.
Any other words or comments or?
Thank you. I think that's the only thing that
Hey,
actually.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you,
I mean,
Christy.
how can you fill up what she does for us? So thank you is the only thing to say.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know.
Wow, today's the last day?
Today's her
Last
last,
meeting?
today's her last commission meeting. She's
Oh.
gonna help with the facilities committee meeting. Literally, she'll come back just to help me on that day and to get our next packet out. But this is her last commission meeting. And
Christy will definitely miss you.
Christy, for those of you who don't realize, Christy was here originally for a while and was the commission secretary. Yeah, in 2002. That's how far back she goes. And then she was gone in the middle and then came back and we got the luck that she picked this up again. And you've been such a joy to work with this. So I'm gonna miss Christy most of all, I think.
Yeah, and you do a lot of the back end, you know, research. and- I know, and it shows.
I always feel like poor Chrissy when we're trying to schedule people. It's like, oh my God, they're headache.
But no, and it showed. It showed in how you approached it and how you worked with everybody who's been on the commission. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Chrissy.
And enjoy your newfound freedom.
Thank you.
All right. So happy holidays, everybody. Merry Christmas.
Yep.
Happy New Year. I'll see some of you beforehand, probably. Otherwise, enjoy. Take joy in the season.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We are.